Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Wiz podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to one of the shining stars of the, literally, what is it, my gosh, I'm bad with acronyms, but San Bernardino, there's a college, it's a UC, and you are the shining star of said program. He is the one and only Ernesto Madrigal-Rodriguez. What's up, man?
What's up, man? I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. I mean, we pretty much cut 2 podcasts off air without even knowing it. My goodness. So,
I didn't even know we were. I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
But I mean, how are you?
I'm good, man. Just you mentioned the CSUSB, Cal State University San Bernardino. That was the school that I was attending. I got a bachelor's degree in it, and I was the lead commentator for all sports. I was the lead play-by-play guy. So we started off with volleyball, and ironically, our volleyball team was the best volleyball team in Division II in the entire nation. They ended up winning the national championship. So I got to commentate some of those games for my school. We did softball, women's basketball, women's soccer, men's baseball, softball, and that's about it. Baseball and softball got cut off because of COVID, obviously last March, and my deal expired, so I'm technically a free agent. So if anybody wants to sign me, I'm all ears. Let's negotiate.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, there's been a litany of people, in professional wrestling and MMA, in commentary in general, that have tested the waters of free agency in a way that they had never done before in the history of any sports.
Correct. Yeah.
But again, it's just like you gotta move and shake, but not shake when you move. Because
there you go.
Weird.
No. That it's I like that because it's true. Because you don't want to just take every single opportunity. Opportunities are valuable. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, you got to know your worth. You got to know your skills, and you got to know what you're best suited for. And sometimes opportunities that come up, maybe they're not best suited for you. And what you want to do. So I like that. Yeah, don't shake or whatever you said. Shake when you move, or don't move when you shake, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like Conrad. It's like Conrad and Bruce. I don't know if you listen to something to wrestle. It's like put a fresh coat of, or put a fresh painted coat on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fresh painted coat. Yeah.
That's a box of gimmicks for sure. 100%.
Oh yeah. Where'd you get that? Gimmicks are us.
But I mean, what was it that attracted you to broadcasting? Because I mean, I know I have a kind of weird relationship, and there's a reverence, right? When you say broadcasting, when you say news, when you say anything in media, right? That's something that is akin to my heart. My grandfather in Fiji, he was the first Fijian-born broadcaster that there was, right? So when I would watch, like, WWF or any type of wrestling back in the day, I was just like, I'm half African descendant of slave, half Fijian. Literally, like almost the same genealogy but different island of the rock, right? So I was just like, I'm going to be a giant. I'm going to go wrestle in Japan until my knees blow out, and then I would settle down to a commentary position somewhere, right? But, I mean, genetics are a funny deal because, like, I grew out to be 5'9", and, I just went a different way. Right, absolutely. But, I mean, what was it that attracted you about being behind the booth?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to have to give you a life story, man, because that's kind of what it is. It's just, I'm a shy person. I'm introverted. I'm really introverted. But at the same time, I really love talking. That's why our conversation before we even went live was just so like candid and fluid because I love talking, and I didn't know that about myself until kind of like the more recent years. I'm 26 now, and I didn't find that out until like maybe like my 20s that I was like, hey, you're a real talker. But it actually started when I was a kid. So obviously broadcasting and journalism, right, they go hand in hand, right? So that's what essentially what I am, a broadcast journalist. You have to be a journalist to be a broadcaster because you obviously have to know about what you're talking about to be able to go on the air. But as a kid, man, I mean, I've just always been a huge sports fan. And when I was a little kid, obviously Mexican heritage. So, you grow up here and you watch Mexican soccer. And that was really like the first sport, that I really that I started clinging on to, which was soccer. And I was like a little kid, man, 4 or 5 years old, and like I really took it from like a journalistic aspect because I knew everybody. I mean, it's funny because my dad told me this story about a couple months ago. It's a funny story because he's seen a family member from Washington, and he hadn't seen him in about 15, 20 years, So I'm 26, so when we saw that family member, I was about like 5 or 6, and it really stuck onto that guy because I was talking about a certain team, and I listed every single player, like every single one, even bench players. I was like, I know who that guy is. I know who that guy is. I knew who everybody was, and I've always been like that, and I never realized it until after, like maybe after I graduated high school, when I was kind of like on the ropes. And I say on the ropes because I was struggling, man. Like, I mean, I was going to college and stuff, but like you don't know what you want to do, so you're just kind of taking general eds. You're just trying to get by, and then but going back to I always approach sports or wrestling or whatever as since a little kid from a journalistic standpoint, and I didn't know that until I started going to college. I'm like, oh, there's actually like a field for this. I mean, obviously I knew who commentators were, and obviously as a kid, like my favorite show when I was a kid was the Sports Center. It wasn't freaking SpongeBob or anything like that. Hell no, man. It was Sports Center or all those other ESPN shows. So I mean, I grew up like that, and it varied, right? So I was in the soccer phase, and then you switch over to sports, right? Then I got real, like in 2005 when I was about 10 years old, got real into the NBA, real into the NBA in 2005, man. The Pistons, man, I was fucking with them pretty good because they were good, and until they got beat by the Spurs. And then, you start moving along, and then all of a sudden I get into baseball, and I start playing baseball, and I get into Major League Baseball. And it just kept on going and kept on going. And then like UFC, I got into UFC like early 2000s. As a little kid, I'd watch it after Raw. I remember when they were on Spike, and then UFC would be on right after. But yeah, I just took my life like from like a journalistic standpoint where you want to know everything and everything. You want to know everything. So I didn't know. It just never materialized until I was in college. So 2013 actually, I wasn't at my best mentally. Wasn't at my best. I wasn't at my best. Trying to find out why I was going to school. Like you're just taking general eds in college, so you're just kind of like whatever. You're trying to get by, but it's like, what the hell do I want to do? So 2013, I started getting into WWE again, and I didn't think anything of it. Like, okay, cool. It's like wrestling, whatever. Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, those guys are cool. Start getting into it, and then in 2014, I go to an event right here at the Pond or the Honda Center now. I go to an event, and it was badass, right? So it's like the first wrestling event I'd been to in about 11 years. My first one was in 03. And then, 11 years later, you're older, you're graduated high school, you can drive, you can do stuff. You're more aware of stuff. So I'll go to that event and like, that was cool. And then like, I think that's where like the seed got planted. That's where it got planted. I was like, something's brewing right here. Something's brewing. It was like a little pot, it's just like, just something. And then in 2015, I don't know if you remember the final Raw before WrestleMania in Santa Clara. The final Raw was right here in LA. So me and my friend, we went to that event, and that's where it clicked because for some weird reason, like I was just looking. I saw the show. I enjoyed the show as a fan, but I also saw the show from like obviously now like behind the scenes. So like, what does it take to create this show? Oh, obviously production. There's production elements. There's hundreds of people working behind the scenes to make sure the show goes fluid and candid. So I'm like, huh. And then I remember that show ended, and I just sat. I was just standing there, like the lights go on and everything. It looks all weird in there. It doesn't look like the normal lighting. So you're kind of like, what the hell? So I was like, huh. And that was in March. That January, so a couple months back, um, I actually saw that Chris Jericho had graduated from community college with a creative communications degree, which is essentially it's a communications degree. So I was like, that's it right there. That right there. And then I looked it up because I didn't know anything about it. I'm like, communications, like I hate talking. I said that then, right? I hate talking. And then I was like, okay, but what other avenues are there with this communications thing, because you kind of don't know about it. It's like, oh, media. What the hell is media? Like, I'm telling you, man, I didn't know what the hell this stuff was. I'm like, what the hell is media? Oh, it's the shows you watch on TV. Duh. And then you learn about journalism. And then you go, oh, journalism and media are the exact same thing. It's just a matter of people getting selected to actually talk on TV. So I go to that show, and then I'm already taking communication classes. And the first communication class, public speaking, man. And let me tell you, in high school, I hated going up in front of class, dude. My hands would be sweating. I'd be nervous, dude. I would do anything to get out of there. And then lo and behold, it's like, what do you want to be? And then like, my love for like pro wrestling and sports, was kind of came back. And I'm like, it just hit me one day. I was like, dude, I want to be a commentator. Because I've been doing that all my life, dude. Like, I've been doing that. Like, I didn't even realize it. Dude, when I was a kid, when I was, like, that finals with the Detroit Pistons and the Spurs in '05, my dad told me, like, I remember, like, I would commentate those games. I swear. I remember watching one game in particular. I remember Rip Wallace, Rip Hamilton, my bad, one of my favorite players. Rip Hamilton had the ball. And I remember commentating it. It's like, Rip Hamilton going up. Passes it up to Tayshaun Prince. Tayshaun Prince, low bounce pass into Ben Wallace, in for the score. It didn't sound that good then, but it sounded something like that. You're just kind of like, okay, like I was doing that my whole life. And then I'd watch Raw, when I was a kid, and I'd be like, oh, impact move, like DDT on the apron, like, oh, it's gonna hurt, like. But I would say it out loud, so it'd be like, wow, holy crap, like. I didn't realize that until I started taking classes for it, and then I was like, dude, I've been doing this shit my whole life. Like,
Yeah.
like how the hell did I not put this together? So, put it all together, and it just, dude, because I didn't sound anything like this when I first started. Like, I was like, man, like, this is going to be a tough road to get to. And then when I selected those comm classes, I'm like, where do you want to end up? Because I'm a real big believer in, like, tunnel vision, and that's a goal, but what's that goal? It doesn't matter if that goal is attainable tomorrow or if that goal is attainable in 30 years. What's the end goal? And especially with school, I feel like you got to approach it like that. And then my goal ended up being, I want to be the lead commentator for WrestleMania 50, the 50th anniversary of WrestleMania. I want to be behind the desk. I want to be welcoming in people from all around the world. This is WrestleMania 50, the 50th anniversary of WrestleMania. We made it 50 years from the inception in Madison Square Garden all the way to wherever the hell it's going to be at. You know what I mean? But that's really where it all started, man. It's just something that had been brewing for my entire life. I just didn't realize it. And then, graduate community college, go to Cal State San Bernardino. And when I get to Cal State San Bernardino, dude, I already knew. Dude, I was dead set. I'm like, this is what I'm gonna fucking be. Like I treat it like an athlete. I treat it like an athlete, dude. Like athlete's mentality. Like this is where I'm gonna get, and I'm gonna like Kobe hunger. Like I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there no matter what. Work my ass off. And yeah, so that's kind of how it just kind of all snowballed together. It's just weird. And then uh, I was doing a radio class. This is crazy too because I did this radio class because my major is communication studies with an emphasis in media. You know, so journalism, production, all that. I was taking a radio class over the summer, and I wasn't gonna do summer school, but again, I was just so dead set on the grind. I was like, nah, let's do summer school. Let's get it over with. Let's do it. Let's get it. It's a radio class, so who doesn't want to be on the radio? You know what I mean? So, and I was the DJ, you know, and they're like, oh, you could only do once a week, and I was like, nah, give me two. Like, I'll do twice a week. You know, I live here in New about 25-mile drive. Drive to San Bernardino. I'll drive an extra day. No biggie. So I do that, and then you know July rolls around, and the athletic director for Cal State San Bernardino, they signed. They didn't sign. It was just like this new network streaming thing. It's called the CCAA network. That was our network, and they launched for the 2019 2020 year. That's right, 2019, and first sports that go on the network were going to be fall. And so school was like, or Cal State was like, well, we need to find our commentators. And thank God that they didn't hire a professional, and they had the confidence in an actual student who actually wanted to do it. And they didn't know about me, you know, so they didn't know that I was this hungry guy that wanted to be a commentator. They just said, hey, we need a commentator. So they called the radio station, and they're like, hey, are there any guys that talk about sports on the radio? And like, oh yeah, we got 3 of them, and I was one of them because that's all I would talk about, dude. I spent 2 hours, man. Oh, talk about UFC, whatever, you know, or Monday Night Raw tonight. Be sure to check it out. And I go and me and the 2 other guys who became my friends, and they're friends. I'm real close to them now. And we go to that interview, and the guy goes, so how much do you guys know about sports? And I said, it depends on what sport it is. And he's like, volleyball. And I'm like, fuck. I don't know jack shit about volleyball. But what am I? I'm a broadcast journalist, so we can do research and we can learn real quick. And the guy goes, I need a play-by-play. I need someone who's going to be there every single time, who's not going to fail. And I need someone who's going to be the play-by-play. And then, dude, I'm telling you, Adam, if there was something more natural I've ever done in my life, it was that. I raised my hand. I didn't even know my hand was raised, and I didn't even know I was speaking. And I was like, that's going to be me. I didn't even ask for the position. I told him, I was like, I'm going to be that guy. And he's like, okay, perfect. We'll see you in a couple months. You know, when volleyball starts, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, dude, my life just changed. Like, I just got a commentary. Like, I didn't think I'd get a commentary gig. I'm like, dude, okay, it'll be probably like 10 years before I get a commentary gig. Obviously, you got to work your way up, right? I'm like, whoa, like, it's here. And yeah, so ended up commentating. I only missed one day. And the only day that I missed was October 4th, which was the Friday Night SmackDown premiere on Fox. You know, I told my boss, I was like, hey, man, I'm not missing this event. I already spent $800 for the Kurt Angle meet and greet. I can't go back. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting ringside a bit, so I can sell them and make some money, but no, there's no way I'm missing that in the world, especially if The Rock's going to be there. But yeah, that's how it all came together, man. And it's just something that I have a passion for, man. I love talking, and it's not just passion, man. You got to also understand that you can contribute to whatever you're going to do. Yes. And I truly feel that I can exude enough passion and I want to say force, but not force, because I'm not like forcing people to like watch the product. I feel like I have enough passion in my voice that I can make it to a platform like WWE, and I can be someone that can actually, with my commentary, actually get people over. So telling stories in the ring. So obviously, you know, we got to put a character over. I feel like my skills, I'm not there yet, because obviously I'm working at it. You know, it's like a jump shot. You know, you think you got your jump shot, you got it, but it takes years and years and years and years to perfect. Ray Allen wasn't Ray Allen in 2 days. You know what I mean? It took him a long time to get there. So it's just something that I have a passion for, man. It's just I don't know. It's hard to sometimes it's hard to explain. It's just kind of like, dude, I love talking, and if I get paid, it's not even about the money. Dude, I do that shit for free. You know what I'm saying? Like if I could talk about a game, sit ringside, courtside.
No, no, I will not allow you to do that for free. You're scared. Yeah.
Right?
No, because there's somebody listening. You're like, we'll do it for
Yeah.
free.
Yeah,
So
you'll do
guess
it for
what?
free.
Yes, Bangalore, Maine. That's where we're sitting, Ernesto, and for no money. So you're gonna pay your way, pay your
I'll sign the.
reputation.
Yeah, give me some money, pay me, I need to get paid, obviously, like
Yeah,
I still work a minimum wage job for God's sakes, like come on.
yeah. Yeah, let's
But
get you paid. Let's get you paid, and
I,
the rest, the deets we'll kind of figure out. And to you're saying, that jump shot analogy. I like it, the analogy. And Ray Allen wasn't Ray Allen at first, right? Ray Allen was Ray Allen, and then he became Jesus Shuttlesworth, and then he went back to being Ray Allen again because he got game.
yeah, exactly. Like Ray Allen wasn't the number one pick in the draft. You know what I mean? If he was Ray Allen, how he ended up being, then Ray Allen would have been, the number one pick in the draft. But like, it takes time, and I embrace that, Adam. Like, I love that. I want to take my time, like, I'm not like that where I'm like not like where I'm kind of comfortable. I'm not comfortable at all, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not comfortable at all. But I don't know, dude. It's just I don't know. It's just I love talking. I love sports. It's just kind of like it's just one of those things. It's just meant to be. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I absolutely know what you're saying because I remember the first time that I was able to do an interview at an MMA show. First off, going to an MMA show in itself, right? And I think I had I bought UFC 199 tickets. I think my wife bought them for me on my birthday.
The Forum.
Yeah, at the Forum, and I grew up in Inglewood, went to Inglewood High, had my high school commencement ceremony at the Forum, back in '03, and so it was a special thing. But I was like, let me get my whistle wet, and I went to at that time, Combate Americas was doing a 3 consecutive Monday run, and I was listening to talk about podcasts, but. The MLW podcast with Conan and MSL and Court Bauer. And Court Bauer was like, hey, I'm an executive producer. And I, before the Pritchard podcast, Court and MLW's podcast was the closest you got to Vince McMahon,
Right.
that you ever did because Court was, had a SmackDown for a time in the mid 2000s and everything.
Yeah.
So that was the closest that you got before Pritchard, kind of started spilling tea. So I was just like, let me do that. And again, the first time I went, I almost didn't get tickets. Like it was sold out at the Exchange in downtown LA. But what I saw that night, a young Froggy Estrada. I didn't know if he was making his promotional debut, but he was definitely one to watch. And I happened to be in the line with a bunch of Froggy's family that had ventured from Ventura. For those that don't know, that's like, from that to downtown LA, I think that's at least 200 miles, if not more so.
Yeah, that's super far. Yeah.
Yeah, at
Extremely far.
On 4 o'clock on a Monday. So they literally left at 10 a.m. to be there at 4, and
Jesus.
And then he knocked somebody out the first time. I got to meet Herb Dean and everything, and it was just like, okay, this is cool. And then obviously to see it on a big scale of the UFC and 199, to see a title change, Bisping going over Rockhold and knocking him out and all that jazz. And I was just like, and then I think there was a seminal moment where I'd been friends with Albert Morales, and I was doing like this YouTube show, and not YouTube, Facebook Live show, and you can actually search it up on Facebook for those who want to refute me. But you look up Two Guys One Phone on Facebook, and there is a Facebook page, and that was me and Combate America's veteran Marcos El Matador Bonilla, and we did I want to say we did like 12 shows before it was cool, and everybody was like, you're just doing it on Facebook. Now you go on Facebook, watch, and like literally like Will Smith's wife's on there, and a litany of other people. Yeah, I mean, on Facebook Live, they were throwing like big production and everything in it, but it's just funny because like when we were doing it, everybody was like, Facebook, you should do it on YouTube and whatever. And I don't know. But I mean, I remember the first time I did an interview, right? The first time I was in an arena. The first time that, I was around a cage or a ring in terms of wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, and what have you. And I was just like, I'm going to do whatever I can to be here. And not only be here, but I'm going to earn my place every single time. If they thought I gave a good interview before, then guess what? I'm going to do 3 times as good and 4 times as good until like I'm satisfied with my own work. And still to this extent, like I'm still 4 or 5 years in, I think about 4.5 years in, I'm still not satisfied, and most people will say like, oh my gosh, you can get all of these awesome interviews and people want to talk to you and everything. Well, first off, it's the 4 years of people and the interactions and the friendships and I mean, literally brother and sisterhood that I've made with people at shows that I can just kind of shoot them a message and they respond, right? And for we're going on 300 episodes. You're at like 290 some odd just since July, right? And
wow,
but the thing about it is, there's probably 1,000 of people that said no, and that's cool. And it's that that determination because you're like, I'm going to prove, despite the glitches that may happen, despite the audio being whatever, the dog barking in the background or whatever. Well, guess what? I'm looking, and this is, for me, one of the most important things right now if you're starting any type of, online presence, whether it be TikTok or Instagram, as selfie model, podcasts or on YouTube or Twitch or whatever, right? This is the first time in history that somebody that can order $100 worth of equipment on Amazon delivered right to your door, or go into Best Buy when you could still go into Best Buy and they have a podcasting section, right? You're on par with anybody on ABC, NBC, Fox News, all of that, whatever. Because again, they're doing the same thing. The viral video went on here in LA, an ABC weather person and her baby, because she's doing the weather, she has a green screen at home, and she's doing the weather at home, and her baby walks into the shot. And again, if that happens, and they have, I mean, truth be told, a lot more production, monetary than I do, right? Yeah. And the same things happen, that makes me feel okay. When I see, what is it, Kelly and Ryan Seacrest and whatever, and they're having technical glitches, I'm like, it's okay, right?
It is okay.
Yeah, and it's just like being able to continue to make those relationships, put out the content, and also doing what you love to do. I mean, only within the last few months have I watched content that I would actually watch myself, if it weren't me taking myself out of it, right? I mean, nepotism out of it, right? If it were just me, would I watch this? And it was the longest time, but I didn't even, on my regular YouTube page, I've got 2, the professional and the personal, I hadn't subscribed to my own YouTube page until a couple months ago, because I wanted to make sure that I was deserving of my own subscription.
Oh,
right? Yes.
I like that.
So I earned my own subscription.
It's like, do you like your own pictures on Instagram or Facebook? I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people do, but, I like that, Adam. I really like that, because that's so true, man. It's just kind of like, if I'm not satisfied with the work, you really think everybody else is going to be satisfied with the work? You know what I mean? So you are 100% right on that. Hey, wait, so I want to jump back to something here. So Court Bauer?
Court Bauer, yeah. I was actually, funny enough, when I and Bosun Wang were trying to, I got my start actually doing production videos. So we did one for Daniel Rodriguez, who's now in the UFC.
Right. Yeah,
Heinrich
yeah.
Wasmer, Thor Skanke. I mean, like 12 people, and we even got to a point where, like, you know, we were in talks with coming on on the production side for Combate Americas, right?
Oh wow, dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, so that was that. But what ended up happening was Court, and I don't know what happened, but like our only contact was Court, and then Court got fired. For whatever
Oh
reason, right?
yeah.
And then, but if not Court getting fired, he wouldn't have restarted MLW, which is, in my estimation, the number 3 promotion again in pro wrestling. I mean, at least in North America. Obviously, you've got New Japan, but I mean, to me, the way that I look at it, it's, you know, obviously we've got WWE. I mean, I would even say they're not to say that they're better than Impact, but I will watch their show, you know, on par with Impact Wrestling. So if
What about
AEW and WWE are 1 and 2, then, you know, Impact and Ring of Honor and MLW are battling for 3. Or you can go, that's your top 5, no matter how you want to spin it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so that's my interaction with Court Bauer. He was our contact at Combate Americas when Combate wanted to bring us in.
Wow, dude, that's so cool. That's amazing. You still do you get like backstage media passes or something like that when, like, well, obviously before COVID hit or something like that?
No,
Because I seen you cage side on your Instagram. What's that all about? You buy those tickets or you get compensated or what?
I was lucky enough with the, you know, especially in the MMA deal, you know, I would get hired on by the promotions to do interviews and everything like that. But when it comes to pro wrestling, there's only few and far between where I hadn't actually, you know, paid to go to an event. But if I paid to go to an event to justify it to my wife, I essentially went ahead and got an interview, got something, you know, to kind of, you know, that it was going back to me, right? Because I'm investing in somebody else's dream and product and what have you. Then guess what? I got to get something out of it, right? And
Right.
you know, and I mean, there were times when I didn't get credentialed, where I didn't work MMA shows, and, you know, whether it be fighters or coaches or even referees themselves would basically kind of sneak me into the show and what have you.
Cool.
And, you know, before I did it, and I did most of my first interviews just on my phone with like a Rode mic. I still have it here. Like, it's $50.
Oh, let's see it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
The warrior right there.
Yeah,
Woo!
absolutely. And
Yeah.
there was a cool, like, at the first Bellator show at the Forum, you know, Devin Brock, who made his debut that night, and he beat a Gracie, right? One of the Gracie grandchildren, Elio's grandchildren, and I didn't get credentials to that show. So I literally pulled out my phone. They thought this was chapstick, so they didn't confiscate it. Whatever, they didn't know what this was.
Pretty unique looking chapstick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was able to get into the Forum and get a interview with Devin Brock right after arguably his biggest win to date in his debut pro fight in Bellator. You know,
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just like sometimes you fake it until you make it.
Fake until you make it, man. That's so true, because especially with them, you know, they want the big guns. You know, they want Ariel Helwani, you know. They want Luke Thomas. They don't want Adam. They don't want Adam Woods. I'm kidding. Nah, I'm messing with you, brother. Hey, I like that. That's, man. Hey, man, if you ever need help with anything, let me offer my services, you know, because maybe I could help you with some stuff. I don't know what, you know, but anything media related, man. I'm certified, I guess. You want to see my degree? I got it right here. You know what I mean? But I'd be more than happy to help you out. But I seen that, man.
Yeah.
I seen that. And I was like, that's so cool, dude. I'm like, that's what I want to do. But COVID hits, man. You know, and
Yeah.
what more can you do?
Right, but the thing about it is, you know, it's what you do from it, right? And
Right, exactly.
Don McGuire, shout out to Don McGuire. Says, "Sup, brothers? What's up, Don McGuire?" The fighter's voice. I mean, he, you know, I might have, you know, 4, almost 5 years going. he's got 25 years of experience of not only interviewing but also photographing some of the biggest names in MMA. And it's just
super cool.
So when I kind of obviously I appreciate where I am now, but there's still a bit more to go, right? And I think that's it, right? If you become champion in something, right, you want to do the title defenses. You want to, no matter what sport it is, you want to be able to, just to prove everything that you're able to do. So
You know what? You know what saying has always kind of like stuck with me and kind of like it blew my mind. The first time I heard it. So when you learn about wrestling, right? The behind the scenes, the cool stuff. What's that saying? Like, it's not about getting to the top of the mountain. It's about staying in the top of the mountain. You know what I mean? That's kind of like that phrase right there. Kind of like. And I'm sure fighters, you hear that, like we're working to get to that top of the mountain, but, we can't plateau. There's still more climbing to do, like they say top of the mountain, but that's not really like an accurate description, it should be more like the top of the world or something like that because you never plateau. It's especially with like interviewing and like what I do and broadcasting or what you do and interviewing and podcasting and stuff like that. You're always gonna get better. It's weird, you right? You're gonna look back and like 2 years ago, you're gonna be, damn, I sucked. You know what I mean? But like, it's growth. That's the only thing we could all wish for with our professional careers and our our journey is growth. To be able to be blessed with growth, if we can be blessed with that, we can get places. Because if we get stagnant, I don't know what I can do to help you, man. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as true artists, like you're never really satisfied with your work, right? Musicians,
No, never.
One of the cool things, I can't remember the name of the series right now, but it's on Netflix where you have artists talking about their works, right? And like when they did Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails, and they were talking about "Hurt," the song "Hurt."
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, I can here's this, I could, and he's so self-reflecting, and you're like, he sold a gazillion records. He's one of the generational transcending rock stars and whatever, and even he didn't like it. Or REM and Losing My Religion, like they were just like, and again, masterpieces as you hear it, and they're like, we could have improved so much. That's why when we play it live, there's a different version live versus the of course we'll start off with the version that everybody knows, but then we'll kind of go on, or if we do an encore, we'll do the version of the song that we like, the one with 25 years of like painstaking and everything about every little nuance, that we go like, okay, like we're gonna play that version,
Dude, and yeah, and like you say, like not satisfied with your work. To be honest, man, I've only listened to about 3 to 5 clips of my commentary, and like that's bad. yeah, but it's situational. I'll say it's
Right.
situational because um, there's going to be a time and place where I really go back on those tapes and I really look at them and or listen to them, better yet, and really evaluate and learn from them. But right now is just not the time, and I don't know why, but it just is not the time. Probably because of like school and all that stuff. But like, I mean, but
Yeah, and
being real critical of work, and like it's a good thing. It's a good and bad thing. It's bad because it's just like you're too negative on yourself and you'll never be satisfied with yourself. But at the same time, it's good because that's the stuff that makes you better. Like, like what kind of shit is this? Like, dude, I gotta get better. Like, I can't be doing that. Like, let's work harder. You know what I mean?
no, absolutely. Which Don McGuire is so kind. Not this Monday, but the following. Me, you, and Juan the Spaniard Archuleta. Deal, absolute deal, 100%. That works. That
Oh,
works for me. And You will
Juan
never be
Archuleta, is that
Bellator
the
champion.
yeah, that's right. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that name sounds hella familiar. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
man, who the hell are you talking to here?
I mean that's Don McGuire. He does all things cool. So thank you. Absolutely, I'm down. And you will never be satisfied with your work. And that's coming from
Thank you, Don.
yes, a 25-year veteran. So that's it. And that's if you care about it. Of course, there are people, especially like I kind of was talking about. You can get gear, right? Everybody's starting a podcast, and good. Everybody, like literally, I have shared because me doing this, right? Before July of this year, I was not a podcaster, right? I was on a podcast. Go to the Gym Crashers on YouTube. I am and was a part of the Gym Crashers podcast, and I would drive literally 90 minutes from Greater Los Angeles to Orange County to do that show every Tuesday night. But
Wow, that's
aside
cool.
from that, I wasn't, in my mind, not a podcaster because you do it consistently, right? So to me, I feel like I've earned my stripes as a podcaster, right? And definitely the volume, right? But the thing about it is, you again you can't be satisfied, right? You can't.
Yeah.
I can't just go like, oh, okay, I've done close to 300 or whatever, because when I'm looking at Rogan, when I'm looking at other people, and again, like you were saying, it's like, you know you want to commentate WrestleMania 50, right? That's a big goal, but again, I'm a firm believer of shoot for the moon. Even if you land short, you land among the stars, right? So
Exactly.
making that big, tangible goal, right? And some people would even
Goddamn
say
yes.
intangible goal. You're gonna work harder than you would if you did a short-term goal and did that, and then went to another short-term goal, because
Dude,
it's like taking big steps rather than baby steps to win a marathon.
dude, I shit you not, man. There are just random moments in time throughout the day. It don't matter where I'm at. It doesn't matter if I'm in the bathroom or in the gym. It really does not matter. I think I'm like I get like desperate. I'm like, holy shit, like dude, I need a. How the hell am I gonna get to WWE? Like, dude, holy crap, like you get so desperate, like it's like sometimes you gotta slow down, but it's just kind of like dude, just so like fucking hungry, I guess you could say, because it's kind of like
Yeah,
like, and I love that. I love that analogy too. It's just like shoot for the moon, you might end up in the stars,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, you ended up somewhere significant.
yeah.
I believe in that too. I believe in it, but I try not to think about that because I'm like, nah, 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 nah. I'm gonna be there at WrestleMania 50, Adam. You just
Yeah.
you just watch.
Well, I mean, it's funny because looking back on like Two Guys One Phone, one of the biggest names that we had at the time was Terry on Flash Ware, and since then he has gone to the UFC, and he's outside of the promotion now, but
Yeah.
at the time he was like one of the best bantamweights outside of the UFC. So Marcus and I, we kind of were like, oh, there was like a UFC in Vegas, right? There was a UFC in Vegas, and we wanted. No, I'm sorry. There was a UFC in Anaheim. I think it was like the Chris Cyborg card, right? Uh,
Mm,
at
yeah.
Barclays Center. Yeah,
The three title fights, right?
yeah,
John Jones and Daniel Cormier, right?
yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. I was there
so
actually.
Oh, see? So we wanted
Yeah,
to get Terry on that card, right? So we had him on. We went for an hour and what have you, and we wanted to get him on that card. Well, he
yeah.
actually ended up getting the call literally on a week's notice to fight on the Vegas card before that card. So
Oh, yeah,
I'm
that's
not
right.
saying Two Guys One Phone was the catalyst to do that, but I'm just saying that did happen.
Don't cut yourself too short, my friend. I don't know. You'd be surprised how influential the media is.
Yes, absolutely. Oh man, too kind. Adam, you're putting in the work. I appreciate you because you realize the show is not about your. It's not about me. It's about you, and
Right, right.
that's it. Telling your stories, and again, you look at this number closing in on 300. And it's awesome to say. But for me, my honor comes that people almost 300 people were willing to tell their stories with me, to spend an
Right, right,
hour
right,
out of their
right.
day, out of their training, out of their day. Danny Limelight doing a, an intro for me, like all of this stuff. And then also, the people who brought me on the podcast, like Don McGuire has had me on. Graf Esparza from Verbal Tap Podcast have had me on. The Keyboard Warriors had me on.
Oh shit.
Dave Madden from MMA Storytime. And I mean, if you
Nice.
want some good MMA memes, MMA Storytime is where you're at. But they all brought me in, and especially in the instance of MMA Storytime and Keyboard Warriors, they were using StreamYard. And they were like, dude, you should do this. They encouraged me to do this, right? They, like Don. Like, Don didn't have to give me the shine. He did. And put me on a show with, like, Marianne Renault. Like, what in the hell? What am I doing here? But he had faith in me even when I didn't have it in myself, right? And that's it, And even some of those, most people are like, oh, you didn't have 300 actual people. Well, yeah, some of them were doubles. Some of those people were like, man, I felt so good in that hour. After my fight, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you.
Yeah, but
Sure, absolutely.
those are 300 different stories. I think that's really the caveat right there. They're not telling you the same story the second time. They're talking to you about other stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, and you know what, man? If I had a drink right now, I'd toast you right now to the next 300 that you're gonna do. Oh
Toast to
yeah,
you.
yeah, toast
Yeah.
the empty
Yeah.
water bottle, man. We need a
There you go.
swig of beer or something.
Yeah, but I
But
mean, and that's the thing, Toast to you, Ernesto. Toast to
thank you.
Don McGuire. Toast to everybody. And again, if there's anything that I can do to help, because everybody said there's too much podcast, but I kind of believe like Rogan, right? If you want to start a podcast, if you believe this is what it is to do, I mean, in the words of Christine Ferreira's shirt, make them believe. If they don't believe, make them believe, right? But even still, there can be a lot of different podcasts out there, and there absolutely are. But there's only one you, and the one
Exactly.
absolutely. So, in my estimation, there's never enough
Yeah.
podcasts. There's not enough
Yeah.
people on YouTube, right? When I went to school in early 2000s, right, it was still the linear way that you essentially were in radio. You had to intern. I'm gonna take a swig.
Yeah.
You had to intern at a place for 5 to 10 or 15 years, making no money, bartering. Like everything that you did was bartering. And so if you wanted to eat, you did a 30-second ad for the local grocery store, and they would give you a gift card, and that's how you ate. You know, that was what it was, right? So, and then there was FCC regulations. If there was dead air, $25,000 fine. If you curse, you're blackballed. All that shit, right? So for the first time ever, none of that is in play. This is not an FCC regulated podcast. This is not.
No, it's not.
Everybody. Yeah, this is great. So I'm like, if this is, much like you, like I was antisocial, awkward, had a stutter, like pronounced stutter. It wasn't always vogue. Like I was close to my mom. I had a tinge of accent when it was not so kind to be cultured. My mom tried to disguise it. I mean, every time I spoke with I or my sister with an accent, the little British tinge of Commonwealth Fijian accent, she'd crack us right in the mouth because her estimation, because in her estimation, she married a African American gentleman who was in the military. Her kids were born in America, and when she came in '82, I mean, even though she spoke English like the way that the people in England speak, because again, Fiji was a British Commonwealth up until 1970, it wasn't vogue to be different in '82. That's less than 40 years ago, right?
Damn.
So she wanted us to assimilate. So when you think about it, much like how you were saying, there's no way that I would have imagined that I'd be doing this, right? But in the back of my mind, I should have always done this, and that's why I know that you're going to be successful. You are already successful to an extent already to be able. Again, your school and its affiliated partners are essentially starting a streaming broadcast network. And
Right.
who do they pick? You, right?
They pick me. Yeah.
You cannot be first twice. That can't happen. It's scientifically, well, I mean, there are outliers like Carla Esparza, where she was the first strawweight Invicta champ and then the first strawweight UFC champ.
Yeah, yeah.
But other than that, you can't be a first twice, right? Or more times than one, right? That kind of negates the whole thing. But when regardless of what happens or whatever, anybody that goes into communications at your alma mater is going to know that you were the first.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that until right now, dude. That's that tunnel vision. I guess, yeah. I didn't even realize that until you just said that. I'm like, oh, wow, oh yeah, that's right. I was, I am. I did not realize that. And technically, I'm the only one because they don't have they haven't found a replacement. Wow, I didn't realize that, Adam. Thank you. Those are very, very kind words, man. I appreciate that. God dang.
I have a literal legend, here on my podcast, and I'm so honored to do that because this is what makes it. You didn't even realize that part about yourself, right? And
no.
And this is something that hopefully it doesn't go in one ear out the other when you go for a role. And don't think, because that's a part of it, right? Not thinking that we are enough, right? That's not just if you're a creator, a content creator, not just if you're a creative person, but just as you're a person, right?
Yep. I deal with that every day, Adam.
Right. But you can know that again. At the very least in San Bernardino, I'm a legend, right? But guess what? Nobody else is in San Bernardino.
That's not yet, man. I don't think the next day is going to do better than me, to be honest.
But that's the thing, right? And we should be able to sow the seeds for whatever next generation comes after us.
Right.
That there's a wealth. There's a wealth and a plentiful, bountiful outcome of what you do X, Y, and Z. Like when it's like being the first kid, right? When your parents, have you're kind of the crash test dummy, right?
You are. That's me too.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Sip a little champagne, give the baby a little whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. But if your parents have 1, 2, 8, whatever, then they figure it out. And they become completely different parents than the one that you experienced, right?
Boy, that 8th child is completely different than that first child, man. Oh my God. You wouldn't even know they were brother or sister or whatever, You'd be like, oh my God, like, holy God dang,
Yeah.
So true, though. So true.
But that's what you will be, whether they know it or not,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they might not know your name, right? But because there's a network, because they're giving you a chance of somebody that doing volleyball, doing whatever. Anybody that does any commentary for any of the sports that you mentioned, and you literally did everything in your short tenure, right?
Yeah.
There'll probably be 7 people that are doing your job for the next couple of years when things are, and you did it first all on your own. Obviously, you had your co-broadcaster, your analyst, and what have you. But again, it was just, out of all the names, and again, how many names were even in the communications broadcasting department, right? And again, once you start to think of it, how many people want to do it? How many people are in college to do it? How many people are your college to do it? How many people from your high school thought about doing it? Whatever. And then it just dwindles.
Yeah, I was about to say.
You check every box.
It turned into none, except me. Literally. You know what's crazy is before I got that job, I actually had seen it on an Instagram post. I think like one of the pages. I saw it, and I was like, "That's cool." But then I was like, "That's way out of my league." And I'm such a dummy for thinking like that. But maybe that's why I shrugged it off. Maybe subconsciously, maybe my soul knew that it was my job, but I just acted like all the other people. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, Thank you, Adam. I didn't realize. I mean, I kind of knew. I guess I was the first, but it just really just hit me right now. Like, oh, I really was the first. Like 30, 40 years from now, hey, I was the number one guy. I guess literally the number one guy. That's wow. That's really didn't realize that. Kind words, my friend. Really kind words. I really
And
appreciate that.
no,
It's
but I'm
awesome.
not. Well, I appreciate you, but this is not
We need more
hyperbole.
people like you out in the world, man. I'm telling you, we really
More people
do.
like you.
I think what you're doing in this platform in this podcast, it's a really good thing. I really like this because um, just this conversation alone, Adam, it reinvigorates what I want to do, and it really it has just like obviously my passion. It's a big ass fire, right?
Yeah.
And but you're adding like a little bit of gasoline to that fire, and I really appreciate that because these are the moments where you realize this is really why I want to do that. And take it from me, man, because I feel kind of weird because usually I'm the one interviewing people. I'm not usually the one being interviewed. So I'm kind of like, I was telling my cousin today, I was talking to him. He's like, what are you doing later? I was like, hey, I was actually going to be on a guest on my friend Adam's podcast. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, yeah, it feels nice to be the one being interviewed for once,
Yeah.
and not having to come up with questions and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
ah,
And that's the other thing. Like people are like, "Oh, what are we gonna talk about?" I'm just like, "Whatever the fuck. We could talk
yeah,
about fights. We can not talk about fights. We can talk about life. Whatever the fuck.
yeah,
However,
dude.
however way that you want to spend this hour. Again, I'm honored that people would want to share an hour with me and my audience, and people that are the audience, right? Like there's a family. Everybody that hit the subscribe button, those are family because you guys are setting the tone for what I will end up becoming.
And you know what? I'm fucking up, man, because I'm still not subscribed to your channel, and I'm on it. I'll
Well,
be sure to do
okay.
that
Yeah,
immediately when
let's
we
do it.
end, man. I'm doing that's the first thing I'm doing
Damn.
as soon as yeah. And I'm gonna tell my friends too to subscribe too. I'm about to
Okay.
meet up with friends, so I'm gonna tell them be like, hey, subscribe to this podcast, man. This guy's got
I,
something good right here. I like what he's
I,
brewing right here. I like it.
I appreciate it, but again, it's the thing, like especially in the last year, everybody has gone through so much strife, right? So much craziness, right? And especially in an industry like we are, right? Where we're media people, and there are people that will try. I've seen it happen in front of me. They will try and nickel and dime and pull each other down to get a credential for this, whatever, or to an
Yeah.
interview with that person or whatever. Like, no,
Sadly, yeah.
no, no, man. Like I don't. If I have to jump through hoops to get a credential, that is a credential I no longer want. But thankfully, I've got a crap ton of credentials here.
Oh
So,
wow, look at that.
yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, yeah, on both
That
sides,
that
right?
I'm kind of jealous of that. I got one right here, man, and this is actually my most. Here, let me pull it down right here because I got it hanging over here. This is actually my most uh, prized credential, I guess you could say. So this right here, let's see if we can see it right here for the camera. So
Yeah.
right here, and then if you read that, it says the 2019 NCAA West Regional Championship. So we were down to. I'm trying to remember this. I can't remember how it went down. That's how much of a blur it was. And, anyways, my school ended up winning. The reason why I got to do this right here, the West Regional Championship, and for any college basketball fans, you know how this goes with March Madness, right? Regional, I believe that's the Sweet 16, if you will. So essentially, I got to commentate the Sweet 16 for volleyball Division Two, which is absolutely phenomenal. And we were told about that. Thank you. We were told about that at when I signed my contract. We were told they were like, "Hey, you guys are going to do the. It's not confirmed 100%, but because we are the number one ranked team in the entire nation, we are going to get to host the regionals." So it was only I think our school, and I think three other schools in the entire nation that got to host the regional tournaments, and I got lucky and. I got to commentate that entire tournament. Not the entire tournament, actually. I only got to commentate. They only come in for like the important games, I guess. I guess I was important. They were like, no, 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 we don't want you doing the little bullshit games. We want you semifinal. Well, we want you quarterfinal because it was 8 teams. So we want you to do the first round just so people can know who you are. But we for sure want you in semifinal, and we have to have you in the final. And the final was December 7th, and that was one of the best days of my life. I remember that day like it was yesterday, man. It was crazy. It was a wild day.
I mean, if you're gonna have one, that's one
Yeah,
hell
right.
of a one, you know, and
That's a good little perk to have, right?
yeah,
A
absolutely,
good little resume adder right there, right? You know, like, hey, I got to commentate the
absolutely,
regional. You
yeah,
know,
you know,
and it was by skill, not by luck. It was all luck.
that's no, I don't believe that one bit. I think you're the guy, and you will continue to be the guy, you know. And
And
what
it was crazy too. And if I could just say this real quick, it, when my manager told me, we want you to do the final, that was like, whoa, like, damn, this is serious. Like, this is really serious. Like me, like you want me to do the final, and you go back to that little kid, man, where you're just like that little kid that watches Raw on Monday and goes to sleep with his chocolate milk. You're just you go back to that, and you're like, this is unreal. It was such an honor to do that, and since I have a platform right now to say thank you, Brian Gall, who hired me as the lead commentator. He runs the media department for Cal State San Bernardino, and he works alongside with the athletic director, so he makes sure all the technical stuff gets done right. So thank you, Brian Gall. Thank you, Chelsea, the athletic director, and thank you to everyone at CSUSB for making that possible. And I will never forget that opportunity, and I will make Cal State San Bernardino proud in my next endeavor, wherever it goes. You know, which is right now. Well, right now it's here on the Adam Woods podcast. That's what I'm according to Woods, but I'm gonna call it the Adam Woods podcast. It sounds great.
too kind, you know. And Don McGuire adds, you know, when people share their lives with you, he had DC, you know, and he told the world about the loss of his daughter and cried on his podcast. That's when you know something is happening. Something, you know, beyond the forms of media and whatever. When you get to person levels and you touch people, that's it. That's it. And again, Don McGuire has been able to achieve that. That's amazing, amazing. And when your show becomes a phone call, you know, and people listening in, that's when you succeed. That's it. We don't talk about the thousands or the millions or whatever. It's a conversation between friends, and you're dropping people on that third line. It's the party line, you know. That's
I like that.
you know
Yeah, the
what that
part of
is.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's
And
which
and and let me say this, Adam, because I'm gonna let you go here in a bit. I want to thank you because right now I'm kind of stagnant in finding work and getting myself moving forward. But I think a day like today, where I can talk to you, it kind of reminds me. It does remind me. It reminds me like, hey, you're going in a good path, and I just don't have. I don't have the words. It's just kind of like I just want to thank you 1,000 times, man, because you're cool as hell, man, and I want to do this again. Like, can we
yes,
please do this again? And you know what, man?
yes.
And we can designate stuff. We can talk all things UFC one day and all things WWE another day, and I am all for it. And please have me on again,
Sign,
please.
sign, seal, deliver. This is what we're doing, Rich.
Ah,
I,
thank
I,
God,
I
because I love
yeah,
this stuff, man. I love this stuff. I
absolutely.
love this. And I know you do too, and I can
Oh yeah.
tell. And you know what? If I could say this one thing before I go, is with commentary, there's only one thing that gets the commentator over, and that is the passion that you hear. And um, from someone who's done it on a sports level, if I can tell you, Adam, I definitely hear passion in your voice, and I hear that hunger and that drive and that desire. I hear that in your voice, Adam, and I truly believe that this podcast, you're going on 300. 300 is going to seem like a penny to you, my brother, because you're gonna get up there, and that's what's going to get you over. Other like interviews and all that, those are all going to come together. But it's that passion that you have, my friend, and that's going to really propel you forward, and it's already propelling you forward. And you're doing a hell of a job, man. And goddamn, I can't emphasize that enough. You're doing great things, dude. So
You're too
happy for
kind.
you.
You're too kind.
So
But
happy for you.
I also know that Ernesto Madrigal-Rodriguez is nipping at my heels, so I know I gotta be on game for my brother. That's what
Well, let's push each other, man. We're,
yeah,
we're not we're not we're not at that top of the mountain yet. You know, you are. You're doing it big. You got credentials you can throw away, and you will forget about them. I got one. I need more. I need more. And thank you, Don, for telling me to keep on following my
keep on
dreams. Thank you. I appreciate
absolutely.
that.
So
Or
before
living my dream.
absolutely, so thank you, Don McGuire. Thank you, Ernesto. But before we go, we definitely want to get some shout outs of the way. You alluded to them a little bit, but let's go ahead professionally and personally. People that you want to go ahead and thank or shout out, as they would say. This is your time, my man.
Obviously, my parents for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Um, I want to give a shout out to one of my best friends, Mason Reeder, who's up in Bellingham, Washington, who just celebrated the birth of his son, Benjamin Oak Reeder, this past November, and his beautiful, lovely wife, Catherine. I want to give a shout out to them. I want to give a shout out to my other best friend, Damon Madrid, Marine in the service. Thank you for your service. And I want to give also another shout out to one of my other closest friends, Christian Escalera, and my cousin Daniel Madrigal, and my cousin Cesar Alvarez. And those are my rocks right there. And thank you guys. I wouldn't be here without you guys, and you guys wouldn't even know it, and I guess I'm saying it out loud here. And thank you to people like you, Adam, who provide a platform for me to say these things out loud and be able to express feelings, and shout out to, I think that's it. That's really it, to be
I,
honest.
lo- I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it, my man. Thank you so much for sharing time. But last, but very not least,
Oh, actually, there's one more shout out. There's
oh
one more
yeah,
shout out.
absolutely, go for it.
Um, there's this little lady out there. Her name's Leslie Gomez. I want to give a shout out to her. We're not anything right now, but she doesn't know how much she makes me a better person, and I'll just say that.
That's absolutely brilliant. And shout out to her, little
Yeah.
Lizzie. Now, obviously, for those who want to find out more about Ernesto Madrigal Rodriguez and procure his services, because you want to snatch him up, he is the hottest free agent in all of broadcasting. Where can they find you, good sir, on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. It's underscore NETO 1994. It's underscore Neto. That's my nickname in Spanish. Twitter, same thing, I believe. Yeah, and then on Facebook, it's just Ernesto Madrigal. But the best one would be Instagram. That's the one where I try to put myself over the most. So underscore NETO 1994. That's it.
That's
Or go to
perfect.
Adam. Go to Adam Woods' page and just search Ernesto, and you'll find me.
Yeah, damn right. That is absolute facts. That's facts. But Ernesto, thank you for sharing the time with us. Thank you guys for joining us here at According to Woods. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Yes, we're on Twitch. So go ahead and check me out. But if you don't believe my word for it, here's Zeta Zhang.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe.